I spent 3 years with my girlfriend, but she left me for her surf instructor. When I discovered the truth, our story came to an end. For several months now, I have been living alone in this house, which without her feels vast and empty. On the afternoon of July 10th, I began to feel a bit strange, as if I had eaten something bad. That evening, I returned home and went straight to bed. Thursday, I went to work, and in the afternoon, I had a stomachache and thought I might have a virus. That evening, I returned home and went straight to bed again. Around 3 a.m., I woke up with a strong stomach pain, as if someone had stabbed me. It wouldn't go away. I tried to call someone I knew, but all I got was an answering machine. I waited in pain until I finally reached my neighbor around 7 in the morning. I had her take me to the nearest emergency room, hoping that if it was serious enough to go to the ER, I could bypass the wait for a doctor's referral. When I arrived, they saw me immediately, much to the annoyance of the others there, and gave me a direct admission to the nearest hospital, calling ahead to let them know I was coming. I arrived at the hospital a few minutes later, but it was almost 8 hours before I saw anybody. Meanwhile, I called work throughout this time to give updates and became less and less coherent. The ER diagnosed me with Crohn's disease and an inflamed appendix, which was routine surgery, and I would be out by Monday. Well, when the surgeon went in, he discovered that not only did I have appendicitis, but also a ruptured ileum. The pus reached up to my liver. I eventually recovered, but I never told him about the NDE I had during this process. I figured he would probably think I had lost my mind and fill me with antipsychotics. I followed him in several steps over the next few days. During the wait in the ER, at some point I slipped away. It all started with a dark area that was like a roadway with streaks and sparks of different colors. I felt like I was riding one of those airport-level moving walkways. Then suddenly I found myself in a kind of desert-like place, and I could see a stream of people heading towards a building. At that point, I understood what had happened and went to the building. It looked like a cross between an old 19th century church and a barn. There were people there and some small animals. No one wanted to talk to me because they were busy with whatever they were doing. Finally, I found a figure sitting apart from the others who was willing to talk to me. I was there for a long time, but he told me that eventually I would go where I needed to go. I went outside and it was very bright, but I didn't need any adjustments for discomfort. There were large animals and several roads. I went back inside and was met by an unknown man who told me, "You don't belong here." I was sent away. I went to another place, which was kind of a neutral place similar to this plane. I knew I was supposed to attend a class or learn something. My experiential time was about a week, although only a few hours had passed here. At this point, I woke up from surgery. I had the mental state as if I knew I was going to die and was okay with it. At some point, I slipped back into the experience and found myself in a class with several other beings. Everyone was given a tool, each with different functions. Also, they were in groups of 3, except for mine, which was one being and me. The lesson experientially lasted about 4 months. Half of it was actually a place to learn how to use this tool and other related matters. The last half was spent with my lab partner in the field, using our tool. Then I went to his house, and we built some sort of healing construct. His tool built the construct, and mine performed the healing aspect. The experiential passage of time was about 6 months, equal to 2 or 3 days here. I woke up and found at least 2 people next to my bed. The nurse had a large needle and was releasing the air from it. I felt very disoriented. The doctor jumped back when I said, "What are you doing?" He said something kind of boring, like, "It took us a lot of time and effort to wake you up." He asked me to move this, that, and the other thing, then asked me questions and pushed me to answer. He checked me over for several minutes. At some point, I don't know exactly when this happened in the hospital, but I met the lady of the veil who put her left hand beneath my neck and her right hand on my belly, and I passed out. Then I went to a place that was kind of like sweet hills of grass with little flowers everywhere. An entity I had never encountered before was embracing me, complete unconditional love and acceptance. I interacted with this entity for the next 2 experiential months. This area was clearly a place where only the truly dead can go, and I thought I was not coming back. I knew that the last place I went to was beyond any barrier to return, but something or someone made an exception. I can say with certainty that every day was full of joy and passed quickly, without ever feeling anxiety or fear about anything, as often happens in my earthly life. I vividly remember how each morning began with the shining of a radiant sun, whose warmth did not burn the skin, while numerous individuals and figures gathered with hands clasped in prayer and thanksgiving. This ritual was repeated several times a day, expressing gratitude for everything, from the flowing stream to the simple beauty of a newly bloomed flower. This constant sense of gratitude infused a deep tranquility, unlike earthly life, where everything seems taken for granted and of little value. I did not feel the weight of time passing. Most memories are of happiness. I noticed that many people were always busy but were not unhappy. They seemed to enjoy performing their daily tasks. Often I found myself sitting under a large walnut tree or taking long walks, admiring breathtaking landscapes. Of course, at some point I came back. I noticed that my life cord had changed or was absent, and that I wasn't actually back at certain levels. This has remained true. In fact, it has intensified since then. This is just the tip of the iceberg. I experienced 8 months while only 8 days passed here. I never believed in a higher power before, but when you are embraced by this higher power, faith is not an issue. You can't argue with experience. A rather interesting epilogue is that a week before this happened, I was transferred to a different program at work. This is rather routine. In this case, there were no common people between both positions. Then I experienced the NDE. 6 months later, performance evaluations arrived. My boss received reviews from both bosses, and they did not match. It was like a review of 2 completely different people. When they met with me, they argued with each other the entire time, accusing each other of being completely wrong in their assessment. The issue went up to the center manager, who called it a discontinuity and tried to make sense of it. I said nothing for the evaluation. I never explained anything to the first manager I worked with before the lived experience. He had never treated me well, so I took my revenge. Looking back on my life, as I call it previous, that is, before that experience, I remain shocked and even disappointed at how easy it is to waste years behind useless sadness, arguments, or seemingly insurmountable problems when we miss everything else. The beauty of small things, the pleasure of conversing with others, or even simply the gratitude for the sun rising every day behind the mountains, big and strong, and we don't even notice it. Usually only my mother is aware of what happened to me. I preferred not to tell my friends or others, but they couldn't help but see the change I underwent. With this sharing, I hope I can help even just one person who is currently going through a difficult time in their life. I want to give you hope that in your life beyond the veil, you will find peace and well-being, but for now, focus on this life you are living today. Be present in the here and now. Face challenges with courage and approach each day with gratitude and determination. Every present moment is a precious gift, an opportunity to grow, learn, and connect with the world around you. Don't let worries about the future overshadow your present. Breathe deeply, appreciate the small joys of life, and be aware of the beauty that surrounds you. Your life has infinite value, and every step you take brings you closer to your full realization. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for paying attention to the testimony up to this moment. Comment on this video with an amen. Your support and trust fill me with gratitude. May God bless you.